The green and gold of the American flag waves. Crude oil gushes from fields across the globe. Trillions change hands in a New York trading room. This is the story of how a piece of paper, backed by nothing tangible, became the most powerful weapon in history. But is this just a symbol of strength? Or is the United States simply holding onto a global economic card, a card that could be played by anyone? For decades, the world's oil ran on dollars. And the dollar, in turn, fueled American power. This is the story of the petrodollar, a system so intricate, so foundational, you might not even know it exists. But what happens when the engine of this engine starts to sputter? It all started with a crisis. The 1973 oil shock sent shockwaves through the global economy. Suddenly, the world needed more Middle Eastern oil, and the Middle East demanded it in dollars. Simple as that. But how did dollars become the exclusive currency for the world's most valuable commodity? How did one nation's currency become the grease for the global machine? It wasn't by accident. It was a strategic move, a quiet agreement between a superpower and its resource-rich neighbors. An agreement that would reshape international trade, finance, and power for generations. A system built on oil, built on dollars, built on America. The petrodollar, a seemingly simple system, yet a complex engine of global dominance. How does this engine work? And what are the geopolitical implications? Stick around, because understanding the petrodollar is understanding a crucial piece of our modern world, and a potential powder keg. Before the 1970s, the world used various currencies for trade. Dollars were strong, but not universally mandated. The 1973 oil crisis changed everything. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, declared an embargo against nations supporting Israel in the Yom Kippur War. Suddenly, countries like the US, the UK, and the entire European community faced a fuel shortage. Facing pressure, President Nixon made a fateful decision. He ended the direct convertibility of the dollar to gold. This was the Nixon shock. But there was more. Almost simultaneously came the understanding, or formalization, of the petrodollar system. The core idea was simple yet brilliant. OPEC would sell oil only in dollars. Crucially, the US agreed that foreign central banks, accustomed to holding dollars due to the gold standard collapse, wouldn't necessarily dump their dollars on the market, thus keeping dollar value stable. This created a powerful feedback loop. The world needed oil, and to buy it, they needed dollars. And to have dollars, they needed to trade or borrow, reinforcing the dollar's position. Over 80% of the world's oil trade is still transacted in dollars today, a staggering dominance. So how does this system actually function? Think of it like this. The petrodollar isn't just about oil sales. It's about control. First, denomination. The vast majority of oil is priced and traded in dollars. This means countries importing oil must earn dollars to pay. They need access to dollars, and the primary source is the United States. Second, swap lines. Central banks around the world maintain accounts at major US and European banks. When they need dollars to buy oil, they can swap their local currency for dollars at these banks, often at favorable rates, without actually selling dollars on the open market. This keeps the demand for dollars manageable. And third, confidence. Dollars are the world's reserve currency. Central banks hold trillions in dollars and US Treasury bonds. They are seen as safe assets. Why? Because the US, in theory, can always create dollars via the Federal Reserve to pay for oil backed by its military power and economic weight. And the ultimate guarantor? The Nixon guarantee, if you will. The US military protects the global sea lanes through which 90% of the world's oil is shipped. This is the ultimate insurance policy on the dollar. This system creates immense power for the US. It allows the US to import cheaply, paying in dollars it essentially creates. It allows the US to finance its massive trade deficit, borrowing in dollars. and it gives the U.S. influence over global oil prices and politics, simply by holding the currency that buys the oil. The system wasn't without its challenges from the start. The 1970s brought inflation, recession, and volatile oil prices. But these crises also revealed the system's resilience and, crucially, its Achilles heel. The core vulnerability lies in the system's reliance on the U.S. military commitment. Every time the U.S. is distracted or weakened, the petrodollar system faces pressure. The 1979 Iranian Revolution saw an Islamic republic rise to power. It wasn't beholden to U.S. financial dictates, could sell oil in dollars, but also began exploring alternatives. The Iraq War drained U.S. resources, questioning the military's ability to police the entire oil supply chain. Today, we see active challenges. Russia uses the ruble for some trade, China promotes the CNY, and the IMF is exploring alternatives like special drawing rights. Countries are diversifying their reserves and payment systems, slowly chipping away at dollar hegemony. The system also relies on unwavering U.S. resolve. What happens if the U.S. itself faces an economic crisis like the 2008 financial meltdown? Does the global confidence in the dollar waver? The 2008 crisis actually reinforced the dollar's dominance as the world's safe haven, but it highlighted the system's fragility. The petrodollar, once thought unbreakable, is now under strain. The petrodollar system has shaped the modern world in profound ways. First, it created the global dollar hegemony. The US dollar is the dominant currency for international trade, finance, and reserves. This gives the US unique influence over global markets and interest rates. Low US interest rates can stimulate global growth but also fuel inflation. High rates can slow the world down. Second, it underpins American global power. The ability to project military force protects oil supplies, while dollar strength allows the U.S. to finance its military and economic activities in a way no other nation can. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. Third, it creates inherent economic pressure on the U.S. The U.S. runs massive trade deficits, essentially selling its dollar-earning assets to the rest of the world. This fuels global debt and keeps U.S. borrowing costs low, but it also means the rest of the world holds vast amounts of U.S. debt and dollar assets, making the system vulnerable if faith wanes forth. It fuels the rise of economic counterweights. Countries like China are actively building alternative financial systems and currency blocks to reduce dependence on the dollar and U.S. financial institutions. This is a direct consequence of the petrodollar's dominance. Fifth, it contributes to global economic volatility. The dollar's strength affects commodity prices, like oil, metals, which are often dollar-denominated. It impacts global inflation and the competitiveness of other nations' exports. And finally, the very existence of the petrodollar system fuels underlying tensions. It concentrates power in the hands of the U.S. and its allies. It can be used as a political tool. Sanctions, for example, are incredibly effective because they disrupt the global dollar system. And as geopolitical rivals challenge the system, the risk of conflict over resources and currency dominance increases. The petrodollar system is a powerful, deeply entrenched force in the global economy. It has provided the U.S. with unprecedented economic and military advantages for decades. But it is not invincible. The system faces multiple complex challenges from within and without. Regional powers, economic diversifiers, and global economic shifts are slowly eroding its dominance. The future of the petrodollar system remains uncertain. It will likely remain dominant for some time, but its supremacy is under increasing strain. The struggle for control over the world's oil and currency systems is one of the defining geopolitical and economic challenges of our time. The petrodollar, the engine of global finance, continues to run, but the race to replace it is accelerating. The world watches, waiting to see if the American century, and with it the petrodollar era, will endure or transform.